Welcome to This Explainer. So today, we're diving into a really fascinating modern phenomenon. We're going to look at exactly how ancient, historical, and religious predictions are basically being supercharged by today's digital algorithms. Specifically, we're looking at a highly discussed lecture by Mufti Tariq Masood about the Arab-Israeli conflict. Now, just to be super clear right up front, we aren't here to debate the politics or the theology of it, not at all. Instead, we're going to dig into the data and unpack the massive digital ecosystem that actually houses this kind of content. Let's jump right in. Okay, our deep dive really starts with the core premise of the source material. The main question driving all of this digital content is, what exactly are the historical predictions regarding the Arab-Israel conflict discussed by Mufti Tariq Masood? And like I said, our goal here is simply to understand why this content goes so viral, completely objectively. We really want to see how the creator sets up expectations for their audience from the very beginning. Well, the original description gives us a massive clue. It explicitly tells viewers to, quote, explore Maulana Abul Hasan Nadwi's predictions about the Arab-Israeli conflict. This video examines his insights and how they relate to historical and current events. So what does that tell us? It tells us this isn't just some broad, vague commentary. It's a very specific lens. It's taking a respected 20th century scholar's writings and connecting them directly to breaking news. The creator is basically saying, hey, here is a historical perspective, and here is exactly how it applies to what you are watching on the news right now.
And honestly, this right here illustrates the core tension, and really the massive appeal of the whole lecture. You've got the theological history on one side, and modern geopolitics on the other. Think about it. For a viewer who is just completely overwhelmed by the chaos of today's 24/7 news cycle, the shifting borders, the alliances, the relentless updates, this offers a really powerful alternative framework. It gives people a way to process incredibly unpredictable modern events through a much more structured, familiar lens of history and theology. It's a hugely effective narrative tool.
Now, to truly grasp the cultural weight of this, we absolutely have to talk about audience size. 4.98 million subscribers. That is massive. We aren't talking about some tiny niche corner of the internet here. This is a highly engaged audience that rivals actual mainstream news networks. When a channel with that kind of incredible reach takes theology and links it to current global conflicts, it automatically commands a massive chunk of the digital conversation. It's a huge megaphone. And the specific lecture we're looking at, it's pulled in some serious attention on its own, with over 132,346 views. Just think about that number for a second. Over 132,000 views. That is essentially an entire packed-to-the-brim sports stadium of people sitting down to listen to this specific historical framing of the conflict. It proves there is a remarkably strong, active digital interest here. People aren't just passively scrolling by. They are leaning in and actively engaging with this bridge between the past and the present.
So, you might be wondering, how do people even stumble across this content in the first place? Well, it all comes down to metadata. By using highly targeted tags like #Arab, #Israel, right alongside #Mufti Tariq Masood, the channel perfectly aligns religious scholarship with heavily searched modern geopolitical keywords. The implications of that are wild. If someone goes online just searching for the latest news updates, the platform's algorithm might literally serve them this theological lecture right next to a clip from a global news agency. It's this fascinating collision of modern search behavior and religious instruction.
All right, let's zoom out for a second and look at the broader thematic ecosystem. When we take a look at the surrounding recommendations, the sidebar algorithms reveal an ecosystem that is deeply, deeply invested in eschatology, or end times theology. We're seeing videos on the identity of Bani Israel, the highly specific red cow narrative, deep dives into the history of Masjid al-Aqsa, predictions about Iran, and heavily featured the concept of a final war. The platform algorithms clearly know that this specific viewer doesn't just want a dry daily news update. Instead, it surrounds them with a whole tapestry of content that frames modern geopolitical actors through these ancient theological lenses. And the metrics on these related videos? Absolutely staggering. Videos about final war prophecies are sitting at a whopping 2.9 million views. Content combining Masjid al-Aqsa and the red cow narrative? 1.2 million views. Even the history of Bani Israel is pulling in over 646,000 views. These multi-million view counts prove, without a doubt, that looking at modern conflicts through historical and religious framing is incredibly viral. This isn't fringe content, guys. This is mainstream digital consumption. The appetite out there for understanding modern wars through ancient prophecy is huge. What this all boils down to is the unbelievable digital amplification of historical perspectives. I mean, think about it. Decades ago, Maulana Abul Hasan Nadwi's predictions would have been pretty much confined to physical books, quiet libraries, and very specific academic circles. But today, thanks to hashtags and recommendation algorithms, they spread like wildfire. They are instantly beamed to millions of screens around the world, giving millions of people a highly accessible, parallel lens to interpret global conflicts. So I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to chew on. In an age of algorithms, how much does the surrounding digital ecosystem actually shape our interpretation of historical religious texts? As these ancient predictions get mapped onto modern-day conflicts, how are our own views being subtly molded by the highly engaged algorithmic ecosystems they live in? Because when a lecture about a historical scholar is flanked by sidebar videos with millions of views on final war prophecies, it absolutely changes how that original message is received. It's just an incredible intersection of tech and theology. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning those algorithms, and I'll catch you next time.